Hey, welcome to What's the Story? My name is Janice Hermson and I'm your host. And I shocked Doug with the music there, didn't I,
It
Doug?
did. That was just a little nugget of music.
Yeah, just a tiny bit, just
Yeah.
to get us a little intro. I need to add some music to our stuff, but it's just been very busy, and which is always a good thing, but whew, we could use a little breather here, I think.
The thing about being busy is it makes the time go by so quick.
Yes.
Here we are almost through August.
I know. It's
We
crazy.
got a holiday coming up next Monday.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I'll be working. We're open.
Are
So, yeah, we started doing a service called Bounce. And Bounce is a service whereby you can check in packages with us, and you can also actually have packages shipped to us. And then also, you can, if you arrive here at our airport and you want to, maybe you have a little layover, or maybe you're going someplace and you don't need some of your bags, you can store them with us. And in the meantime, you can take off and do your thing. We had a guy come in that actually came in for like 2 hours, I think, and he went for a run. So he dropped off his bags. He had flown in, dropped off his bags, went for a run, and then came back and picked up his bags. So I don't know if he then had another flight or maybe rented a car. I have no idea. But yeah, that's what he did. And very interesting. And with Burning Man being in town, we've had a lot of folks. So it's been interesting. Lots of packages too. They're actually shipping their packages here and then picking them up before they go. They fly in, pick them up, go to Burning Man, and then come back. So fun stuff.
Well, what you did is you saw a need and you supplied something for
Yes,
it.
yeah. Well, and it's funny when I started using this, and offering this service, I was looking for something else, and I happened on this. It's a startup company from, I believe they started either shortly before 2020 or like right at the beginning, which of course we all know what happened, right? Everybody stopped traveling, and so what a bummer for them. And fortunately, they did survive, and so we started up, I think, 2021, and they've really been expanding and doing a lot more. So really happy that we were able to find it, and I signed up with them. They were very courteous. They've got a great app. Go to usebounce.com, and you'll be able to use their app, and it's all around the world. They are. And I feel bad that I don't even know. I believe they're from Switzerland. I think that's the origin of the company, but I couldn't. Don't hold me to that because I could be wrong about the country. So anyway, because for me, I deal with people here in the United States, and it's just a great service and a great company. Like I say, they've got a great app, and the people seem to like it too. So. And we get to
Perfect.
meet
Yeah,
fun
what
people,
could be better?
people from Germany. Generally, like especially Burning Man, it seems like a lot of people from Germany come in. So,
Huh.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So, anyway. All right, so we are here today. I'm here with my co-host, who you're hearing is Doug Ashby. And Ed Knoll is not here today. We're going to have to give him a bad time.
He's AWOL.
He is. Yes, I'm looking at my text here that I texted him. I said, "Are you in town?" And Edward has notifications silenced. So he's ghosting us at the moment.
Well, what makes us worry about that is that's so much unlike
Yeah,
him.
it is. It is.
And he is so dependable on this and that. But Ed, I'm sorry we said those things about you last week. You can come in and
You can
explain
come in.
yourself.
That's right. That's right. I presume that he probably either had a flight or something like that, and probably, got waylaid or all those things that happen, right? I know the people that have been dropping off their bags. I had a frantic email from one of them saying, "I might have to have somebody else drop these off. What's the procedure? What do we do?" So chances are that's what we're looking at is, that, can I say?
Yeah, well, we do have a packed day today.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Did you happen to see the post I made on Substack? Did you see the picture and the post that I sent to you?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh.
Well, wait, I download all that stuff and look at it. I mean, I spent. Oh,
Did you see
I did
that?
see
Oh,
that.
okay.
I did see that.
The reason
yes.
I showed the picture, in case well, I guess I probably need to go to my Substack now so that you guys can see the picture if you're watching. So if you're listening, you can't see it. I know that. But if you're watching right now, I will go ahead and let me go to the page first and make sure the picture's up before I do this. Okay, there we go. There's my picture, and here we go, and I'll share that with you. There it is. So what I said was, how does this picture relate to our word of the day? And then tune in. Might be a little bit of a stretch, but you be the judge. So there you go. That's the picture that we have. I thought it was a really nice looking picture, and I get those from Pixabay.com, and they are royalty free, and we appreciate Pixabay for having all the different artists out there that are willing to share their work. And we say thank you, and occasionally even drop a buck or two here and there so that they can share that with their artists. So it's a nice feature, and it's I don't know, I think it's really good, and you get good photos and good presentation. So our word of the day, Doug, you want to share?
Sure, demarcation.
Yeah. So
That's
is that?
that's that for the past month we've had really good words.
Oh, I wonder who picks those.
Well, demarcation, I think what makes it a good word is that a lot of people say, you know what, I've heard that, and
Right.
perhaps they have used it, but whether they used it correctly or not, who knows?
Right.
And just because you've heard the word doesn't mean you know what it means.
Right.
So, anyway,
And sometimes you just have a sense of what the word means.
Sure.
Because you've heard it used in a sentence, so you kind of feel like, oh, I kind of know what that means. Yeah, I kind of know. But if you had to give a real definition, it might be hard. This one, I think, is easier than many. But, so you want to...
what, I'm going to tell a story on myself. This morning, because Janice kind of has a new format for the program, which I think is awesome because it opens it up to just so many other avenues that we can go down. And oh man, and when Janice put that word first out, I thought, boy, great minds think alike, because maybe Thursday of last week I saw an article and I thought, oh, this is perfect for the show. And then Janice comes up with that, and I go, wait a minute, she was reading my mind. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But
well,
it's
he's doing a little spoiler alert for you. That,
Yeah.
we were hoping to kind of start a new kind of a segment that is a little more specific. We talk about a lot of stories, but we're going to be a little more specific in some of them in this one particular segment we're considering doing. So
yeah.
So line of demarcation.
Demarcation refers to the border or a rule that shows the limits of something or how things are divided. It can also refer to, excuse me, we need a...
I know, cough button.
yeah,
I know.
it's kinda-
Wait till we get more sponsors.
I don't know, but maybe it's because I'm not used to talking all morning, and then you come in here and you start talking.
Right.
I start, anyway. I was determined in marking off of the boundaries or something. That doesn't
Hard
make
to
sense.
read. I've run into that before where I'm reading something, I'm like, oh man, that doesn't even make sense. What are they trying to tell me here? So
It can
a
be
separation or a distinction, some
show
kind
the
of
limits of something. It can also refer to a marked or perceived distinction between one area, category, or another. And synonyms: demarcation, departure, isolation, distinction, boundary, line, borderline, edge, and that was pretty much it. I
Yeah,
thought,
those are good. They actually do define. I'd rather them limit the number that they do of these synonyms rather than going through 50 of them and half of them, or more, maybe more than half, don't even apply. So while I was discussing with my sister about the word of the day, she said, we're all about stories, right? And my niece, her daughter, ended up having gangrene on her arm
Oh,
as a result of toxic shock syndrome. She was quite young, lots of things, went into a coma. It was very, very dramatic and very serious and life-threatening,
how
right?
old?
15.
Oh my goodness.
So this was before they understood anything about that, right? So this was pre anything and
Pre anything. I
pre
like
anything. Yeah, it really
that. That
was.
goes back a long time.
It really was. So she had this gangrene, and so the doctor, because Lenore said, well, I think this is a medical term too. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, my niece had to have her arm amputated because of the gangrene. She said they told her that they had a line of demarcation. You'll never think of demarcation the same again.
Yes.
I know I don't. I know that's uck. That's uck. But it's something that you need to know, right?
Have you ever put yourself in a position like that? If somebody can, I think the very first thing you would probably say is, no, you're not going to do that. We're going to wait this out. Load me up with penicillin, do anything, but I'm not giving you my arm. So, and I'm sure that was her attitude. So,
Well, it was necessary though.
yeah.
It was, yeah.
With that being said,
But they were able to do it below the elbow, and so there were some opportunities there for her. And she learned to live with that very nicely, which, was good for her.
can I tell
thankfully.
a story that's related
This
to
is,
this?
what's the story?
Yes.
Share your
I
story.
have a friend of mine at work. I grew up with him, and he was supposed to, and I don't remember because I haven't thought about the story in 20 years, probably even more than that. But he was going to have to have his leg amputated, and so naturally this was. And the surgeon came in and he says, we've done all of the tests and everything else, and he says, there's good news and there's bad news. He says, we can do really great things with prosthetics now. And he says, but what I have to be able to do is when I go in there to amputate your leg, I have to leave from your hip joint at least something where we can attach
Right.
a prosthetic.
That was the
And he says, if we can't do that, I'm sorry. So they did all of this, and that night a bunch of his people came in, his family and things, and a prayer group came in and said a prayer for him and this and that. Everything was set. The next morning, of course, they, for whatever reason, I don't know why doctors do this, they always get up early. But the surgery was scheduled for 7 o'clock. Come 8 o'clock, he was already been put under, and he woke up and he feels, because he wants to feel if there's a little stump, and his whole leg was there. Yeah, that's the thing. And he goes, oh my gosh, this is worse than I thought. The doctor came in. And he says, I can't explain this, but before I do an operation like this, I run all of the tests again. And the reason we were going to amputate your leg, none of those symptoms are still there.
wow. Wow. To what do you attribute that, Doug?
I liked,
As if I didn't know.
I'll tell you what, he is a very religious person now.
Oh,
And it was
well,
the
I can
power-
understand that.
The power of prayer.
Yeah, there is power in prayer. There is.
Isn't
No
that
matter what
something?
anybody tells you, there
Yeah,
is power in prayer.
And that certainly is a classic example.
Yes,
of it.
there
I wish,
is.
I had to.
Well, thankfully, that
I had to doctor that up a little bit because I don't remember exactly what the.
That's my dog. Sorry.
Oh, I thought that was my throat again. You said I had a little bark, but
I keep telling you to quit practicing, Doug. There you go again.
No, but I wish I could tell you, and I know it was related to cancer because he'd had his lower leg amputated before, and they had to go back in weeks later because they didn't catch all the cancer.
Sure.
But I don't remember exactly what it was related to
Sure,
and all
yeah.
of that. But
But amazing that the doctor did do some additional testing
Oh, man,
and
isn't
making
that
sure.
something?
Yeah, yeah,
And,
that
I
is.
mean, God bless the doctor too.
Oh, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
because the day before they ran the tests and everything was, hey, we're a go for this operation.
Right.
For the very next day, not so much.
That's
as
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
really
amazing.
is.
That's
Good
really
story,
good.
though,
It is
isn't
a
it?
good
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
Better than mine.
yeah.
Yeah.
No
better than mine.
demarcation for him.
Thank God. Literally.
Literally.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So that's our word of the day, demarcation, and what can I tell you? So if you've been watching the news at all, or if you've been trolling through or strolling through the social media posts that are out there, I'm guessing that some of you have heard that RFK Jr. suspended his campaign in a number of states. But not all of them. He'll still be on the ballot in some of them. So, and I know some reports out there are just saying, "Oh, he's discontinued his campaign." This is quite strategic. Obviously, he's keeping himself on the ballot in some states that, from his words, that could keep Kamala Harris from becoming president. And the other states where it might prevent Trump from being president, he's taken himself off. So obviously he's endorsed Trump. He has apparently upset his family a lot by doing that. So I think it's an interesting event that has happened.
Do you know what's really scary about this whole scenario is the fact that, when Biden was running for president, which he did end up winning, they put him in the basement, and we didn't hear anything from him for 3 weeks.
So have you happened to listen to, and I'm going to talk about a competitor station here, 99.1, because they are running an advertisement of sorts that is done by the station owner, where he talks about the percentages on the census of how many people there are in the country, and what percentage of them are registered to vote, and then says how many votes each of the candidates in 2020 got. And he says, can you do that math? That means 90 some odd percent of the population voted. And that's not valid.
No, well, it could be. Just look at Russia.
So, when you say that he won that election, at least there's one party in our city or in our northern Nevada that is kind of countering that with potentially some facts.
Well, I saw a quick article, unfortunately, with these little nuggets that I get as far as headlines, you read into them, and most of them are not accurate from the headline to what you read, but what it was.
Right. Well, I told you I wanted to do a show called "Don't Just Read the Headlines."
Yes,
Because don't just read the headlines.
Was about Trump already planning to start saying that the election was rigged.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And of course, it was all negative towards Trump. And I think, well, to be forearmed is be forewarned. And I think that's a good tactic. But they take a good tactic and turn it around, like, listen to him.
Well, and in 2019, if you listen to Amy Klobuchar, also our candidate Kamala Harris, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, if he's a gentleman, a Democrat, that were all saying that the machines were not accurate, that the machines can't be trusted, that they could be hacked. So these are Democrats. And I believe Kamala Harris was saying this on the Senate floor and saying that she watched them, hacking the machine. that they did it right in front of her. So, how we change our tune when it's in their favor, right? So 2019, they were being hacked, but then in 2020, when, Trump's talking about the potential that they could be hacked, they were like, no, that's not going to be true. And then when he wins, then I don't know. They didn't say the machines were hacked? No, he didn't win. The other guy won. Wait, who won? I'm kidding.
What could be what could be more basic in a country as great as ours, and certainly there's a lot of people that look towards us, is one man, one vote. And
are you looking at my sign behind me? The sign behind me says no on 3. I'm going to turn around for a second if you're watching, sorry. No rigged ranked choice voting, one person, one vote. And I'm going to send you to a website, stoprcvnevada.com, because we're facing that we're not going to have just one person, one vote. You're going to have to vote for 5 people and then let them squiggle them around and jumble them up and throw them around and decide who's going to win.
When I was growing up, where I lived, 2 houses down the street, was a lady that was doing all of the vote counting, and it was all done manually. And they had a group of people that did that, and they stayed up all night to do that. And I remember as a young man or as a young boy thinking, well, how could it be that? What do you mean up all night? How complicated can it be? Well, obviously, technology hasn't worked in America's favor.
Right. It is not. And hand counting isn't a bad idea.
This is a rhetorical question. There is no right answer to it, I don't think. But we're looking at an election where the party that Trump is against, the Democrats, will do anything, and they've proved that by their nominee, will do or say, and the news media, it's the old adage, you lie and I'll swear to it. And that's exactly what's going on. So how can we look down the road to November when the election is and to say, oh yeah, I don't have any worries? Mm-hmm. They've pulled back the curtain. We know who's pulling the strings there. Right. They will do everything. They will do everything within their power. Whether it's against the law or not does not matter.
Doesn't seem to. Seem to. So, but I know many of the grassroots out there are working very hard to confront this head on and to be observers and to do everything they can do to make sure that we have a fair vote. Free and fair elections, that's all we want, right?
Well, when you look at New York, you get an observer to watch New York elections. What are the chances of him being a Democrat and a New Yorker? What are the chances of the guy that's looking on or the person that's looking on?
Well, it's supposed to be equal, but I heard a story. Actually, I saw a complaint that was filed with the Secretary of State's office here in Nevada from Clark County, and they stated that there were more Democrats than there were Republicans doing the observation, right? And the Secretary of State's office replied with, well, they had hit their quota for the number of Republicans that could be there. And so how do they, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Why do they have a quota?
And why do they have a quota?
When you're talking about...
You would think that it would be one of each, right? Or one of Republican, one of Democrat, one of Independent.
They just put a quota on honest people. And I'm not saying Republicans, I'm saying observers.
Right.
You say you have a quota for honest people? That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all. So my question would be to anybody who's a Democrat out there, I don't know if you're listening to me or not, but if you are, then my question would be, do you mind that they displaced President Biden and put in Kamala as the nominated candidate? I mean, there was no vote by any Democrat voter, right? I mean, this was just done by the party. Is that something you object to? if I were a Democrat, I would object.
Yes.
I don't know what I'd do about it though, and I guess if you'd object, maybe you feel the same way. I don't know. So I'd be curious if
they have a slogan in the Democratic Party. You hear it all the time. Shut up and sit down.
I don't know about that. All right. Well, if you're a Democrat or even an independent, what do you think of that? Our text number is 775-399-2888. I'd love to hear from you. Or you can comment on my Substack at hermsen.substack.com, and that is Hermsen with an E at the end, Hermsen. And please subscribe if you get an opportunity. I'd love to let you know what we've got coming up. And I do want to mention I'm having a special show tomorrow at 2 o'clock Pacific time. And it will be with Christina Schwanke, who happens to know David Axel Neff. And David Neff is an American businessman, best known for his role as the former director of international operations of the Russian social network, and I'm not going to pronounce it, but it's VKONTAKTE, and as the co-founder of mobile messaging platform Digital Fortress, which was used to create, and this any of my friends might know, is the instant messaging application Telegram Messenger. He was a co-founder of the U.S.-based Telegram LLC, which was responsible for the creation of Telegram Messenger, served as the head of subsidiaries. At any rate, he will be on our show, a special show tomorrow at 2 o'clock, which I'll be broadcasting all the same places I am right now, which is, except for American Matters Media, because they have a conflicting show, so I won't be able to be on that. However, all the rest of them, my Rumble channel, which is LaRue Press, my YouTube channel, my Facebook, LaRue Press, What's the Story, Bookhound, all of those will carry this show. And with the fact that we were going to talk about the other co-founder, who was arrested, I believe it was yesterday, and in France, that's Pavel Durov, the founder and CEO of the messaging app Telegram, arrested in Paris yesterday. So we're going to talk to someone who is going to have a little bit of insight into what he might be facing, and I've already had some teasers from Christina about what he has said. So I'm not going to share that with you though. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I hope you'll be able to tune in 2 o'clock, and if not, it will be on my Rumble channels and my YouTubes and Facebooks and all that, so you can see a repeat of it. But we'd love to have you listening if you have a moment. So 2 o'clock tomorrow, David Axel Neff, co-founder of Telegram, be on our show. Woo! Interesting. Just, I have to applaud Christina. She was kind enough to set up the interview for me. And I should say, there will be another interview on Friday on one of the American Matters shows. It'll be Shannon Lawson, and that's between 2 and 4. And I don't know at what time he's going to be on that, but I will share that with you as well. So either one, be sure to tune in, because I'm sure it'll be a very informative interview from this gentleman.
Perfect.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting. So
that was a nice tease, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Well, and it's funny because she had not seen my post. She didn't know that I was talking about the arrest on this show today. And I called her for another reason, because I have something happening on Saturday, and I was asking for her help. And it's so funny. She goes, "Oh, I was just thinking of you. I need to ask you about this." And then she started talking about this co-founder of Telegram. So pretty ironic, right? Kind of like you and me thinking on the same lines as far as our stories go. Yeah. So somebody's tuned in. I don't know which of us are tuned in. We're all tuned in, I think. Maybe I don't know, that veil is lifting, right? Isn't that what they say?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, RFK endorsed Trump. What do you think about that? Is that good to you? Is that bad to you? I don't know. What do you think? Any ideas? What do you think about that?
All of these people that are coming forward, but the other side of the scale on this is that I just read the headline. I hate reading the negative news stories, because and the first thing, and it's one of the things that I say I was taught in college, but I was probably taught it in when I was in high school, I just didn't listen to it. But what the first thing they have to do, number one, is look at the date. Number two, look who is writing it, because that'll give you a
Right.
great insight on which way the article's going.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that because of the particular entity that's writing that news story, you don't feel like you're just getting facts, you're getting skewed facts. You know, you're getting some facts, but they're, well, Trump calls them
But,
fake news.
you have to put a little addendum to you're getting facts as they interpret them.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they're
That's-
skewed. Yeah, they're skewed.
So that's what when we get to it. That's the story that I want to talk about. Is who is honest out there? What news organization is the most honest?
I don't know if I could answer that.
That's a tease.
Yes, yes. So, as far as the arrest of Pavel Durov, the founder and CEO of the app Telegram, apparently what France is saying, because France is the one that arrested him over the weekend, on allegations that his platform is being used for illicit activity, including drug trafficking
Oh,
and the distribution of child sexual abuse images. So Durov was born in Russia, spent much of his childhood in Italy, and is a citizen of France, Russia, and the Caribbean island nation of St. Kitts and Nevis and the United Arab Emirates. He was taken into custody at Paris, at the airport in France, on Saturday after he arrived from somewhere else. So there you go. What can you say? That's not a good thing. That's really not a good thing.
But it does beg the question, if a lot of people use his site and there's stuff like that going on, he can't be omnipotent. He can't see everything that's going on his site, yet they're arresting him for things that are happening there.
Right.
I guess that's why you need a good attorney, huh?
I think so. So here's some details on Telegram, the app at the oh no, well, we don't need to tell you all about Telegram. You can go and check them out, see what they do. I have a page on Telegram as well, so I post my stuff over there also. If you're somebody who's a user there, check me out at What's the Story. But my thought on this is that the idea that, so if they're going to arrest him, why didn't they arrest Facebook? Why didn't they arrest, every single one. Instagram has really been accused of a lot of the child pornography and, the abuse, all of that. So, I don't know, it just seems so selective to me that they keep, keep targeting.
There's a kind of an extension of that story. The movie Reagan is coming up. It's being
Yes.
released the 30th of this month, and Facebook has censored it many, many times.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, the reason, and the star of it is, going on to any media that'll listen to him. He says, "Wait a minute," and they asked, "Why are you censoring this?" They said, "Well, it's political." He says, "Ronald Reagan's dead. He's not running for an office, Just because he was a politician doesn't mean you can." But what's the bottom line? Is that they didn't like the story. They thought it went against their agenda. Now, how do they get preferential treatment as far as taxes and not competitive? I think they should. I think they should lose all of the benefits that they have, and just let them compete like everybody else does.
Well, apparently some news that I just got on my phone that says that Donald Trump was just indicted again. Did you hear anything about him getting
I
indicted
just saw the
for
headline,
something?
yeah. And
Yeah.
isn't that double jeopardy?
I don't know. Is it for the same case?
Yes. They
How
just
can they do
refiled it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
because it was dismissed, is that what they're...
No, it was the Supreme Court came out and said
Right,
that
the immunity, right?
the immunity, and so they said, well, if he's immune to it, we'll file it under a different charge. We'll file it again.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that
Anything to get him. Anything to get him. That's interesting.
yeah.
What can you say? I don't know. I think it's crazy myself. So, if you're an independent, are you going to be voting for Donald Trump? Are you going to find another independent candidate? What direction do you take? Because that's a really difficult situation there. You know, if you didn't like Trump and you did like RFK, wow, I don't know. I don't know what you do.
You know, I think that the common thought out there is that I don't like either of these candidates. So what do I do? You know, and I have a good friend of mine that is almost a never Trumper, and I said, let me get this straight. If I hear you correctly, what you're saying is, gee, I like all of the things he did when he was president, but I'm not too keen with his personality. I said, are you listening to yourself? I said, we're not voting for his personality.
Did this person respond to you, or
Yes.
they just?
Yeah. So anyway, but he says, it really doesn't matter because I live in California.
Oh.
Well, speaking of that, did you hear?
That's a terrible thing to have to say.
Well, how about this? Did you see where the in California they will give you illegal
Yeah, I did see
immigrants.
that. Yeah.
They don't call them that. What do they call them? Undocumented, whatever. People that have
Migrants, I think.
How about this? We'll try to use some descriptors. People that have come from another country that aren't citizens here have come across the border without our permission, now are going to get interest-free loans of up to $15,000 so they can buy a home here.
Yeah, they get the down payment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
You know, one of the talking heads that I heard, man, you could see he was pulling himself off the ceiling because he says, wait a minute, I have a son right now that is looking for a home and he can't afford anything. So now,
well, I have a granddaughter that has actually saved money and still doesn't qualify for much that you'd want to buy, right?
Well,
she saved the down payment.
This talking
still
head
not enough.
says, wait a minute, my son can't buy a home because I, as a father, pay so much in taxes, I can't help him buy a home, yet those taxes that are taken out of my wages are given to somebody that shouldn't be in this country. Now, how does that make sense? Was that your
Democrat friend? Was that your Democrat?
No, actually, he's a good Republican. He does a lot of times. He does stuff like that just to pull my chain.
Oh.
He does it.
Well, that's good. That's good that you can have a little discussion there.
Yeah. Well, there is just so much out there, that you have to shake your head. Did you think, as little as a year ago, if somebody would have come forward that said, "Oh, right, sure thing, they'll do"? Hey, that's the reputation that California has, is that they tilted the country up on edge, and all the loose nuts and bolts fell into.
Well, I resent that. I'm a native Californian,
Me too.
and it's very frustrating to watch your state do this.
Do you know what?
I've now adopted Nevada as my home state.
Yes,
30 years plus.
California has been very, very good to me. As a matter of fact, I still own property in California.
Right.
I still pay a mortgage in California. I still pay taxes. I still pay taxes in California.
Not
I love California, but I certainly don't. I certainly don't like what they're doing. Which is interesting because they say that to give the illegals $15,000 to buy a home, to help buy a home, has to be voted on by the Congress, and it has to be signed by the governor. So you are the people that voted those people into office. If you keep doing it, then, quit poking yourself in the eye.
Well, but then you could also say, what did you tell me about 2020 that Biden sat in the basement and still got the most votes? So who knows if maybe they're doing the same thing.
Well, that's what
Right?
that's what scares me
We don't
about.
know.
That's what scares me about Kamala, because she's been on the campaign trail, so to speak, or is supposed to be for what, 3 weeks now, and is yet to give an interview.
Right.
They're going to put her in the basement, and the news media is going to run interference for her.
Probably. Sounds like it. Seems that's the way it works these days, right?
Yeah.
And
then,
what do we do about it is the question. What do we do? And I think that again, the people that I've been working around, they're all trying to do something, whether it's that they're going out there and knocking on doors to tell people what's going on. We put up signs like the one behind me, no on 3, because that's just going to destroy Nevada. You do the things that you feel you can do. I've had people call me and say, I want to volunteer, people that have never volunteered before. And they're, I want to volunteer, I want to help somehow, even if it's just something small. So I think that people are frustrated. They just don't know what to do. They don't know how they can change it.
Right along those
Right?
lines, again, coming in here, I was listening to Ludlow. He's a financial, a financial guru, genius. And one of the things that he was saying is that Kamala, what she wants to do is she's going to, freeze prices, and she's going to do this and that. And they said, nothing could be worse. And the person that he was talking to said, well, don't worry, that won't get through the legislature. And Ludlow said, well, wait a minute.
Oh, Kudlow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kudlow.
Now I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry Kudlow.
Larry Kudlow.
Yes.
And what he said, wait a minute, let's look at Kamala. She has been tutored by Biden. Now the student loan program, the Supreme Court came out and said you cannot spend $3 billion of the largest of this country without congressional approval. And Biden said, oh, okay. And he's doing it anyway. So now, with that, if Kamala were to be president and she couldn't get her legislation through Congress, what makes you think that she wouldn't do it anyway?
Do exactly the same thing that Biden's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's who knows? I honestly mean that. Who knows? But like like attorneys like to say, when were you lying to me? Then or now?
Right.
So
Well, and in defense of the other side, I'm sure that they can point to different presidents, probably including Trump, that have done similar types of things with different executive orders that they've put out there that they feel is unfair or, illegal or whatever, term you want to throw at it. It doesn't make it right, and it doesn't forgive what you're talking about here either. But it's unfortunate as the people that we have no control over this, that we watch it happening and we say, that's wrong. And yet there's nothing we seem to be able to do to affect change. And everybody says go vote, and I agree, you do need to vote. I'm not saying don't vote, but at the same time, I think there has to be a different level of interaction to force our representatives to do the job that we want them to do and not the job that they get paid to do by others.
well, that's why our founding fathers were so prophetic, is they have 3 branches of government. The judiciary is the one that keeps the other 2
But
in
when the
line.
judiciary says something and they ignore it anyway, then what?
Well, that's an impeachable offense.
Then the Congress has to impeach them.
Exactly.
And will they? Only
know,
if you're Trump.
Janice.
If you're Trump, they will.
One of the things that I really like about what we just talked about is our Constitution is so awesome.
It is.
It is.
It
It
is.
might. It like they say, it's dirty work, but eventually it all does pan out.
Yeah.
So
So just changing the topic just a little bit because we're working on our last 15 minutes or so here, not even that much. I wanted to just run through a little bit about the Starliner astronauts that won't return until 2025.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, it's only 4 months. They can
No,
hold.
February. They're going to come back in February.
They can hold their breath for that long, I think.
Yes, but how does something like that happen, right? How does that occur that you're going in there and they're going for what, a couple of weeks? Wasn't that what it was supposed to be? They were just supposed to.
No.
So, just to kind of give you a little bit of background, this is from USA Today, Eric Lagata, and this is from August 26th, so that was just yesterday, so it's pretty updated. The two NASA astronauts who flew to space aboard the Boeing Starliner thought they might be home in time for Independence Day, but it turns out they won't even be back on Earth to ring in the new year. Ahead of Barry, Butch Wilmore, and Sunita Suni Williams are another 6 months to spend 250 miles above Earth. That just doesn't seem like much, does it? 250 miles. Except that you're up there.
Yeah.
That's on top of the nearly 3 months the veteran spacefarers have already been at the International Space Station after arriving June 6th for what was initially scheduled to be a little more than a week-long stay. Wow. But after a thorough analysis of the Starliner spacecraft, NASA deemed the vehicle was not up to the task of reliably transporting them back. That's frightening. How do you get there? And don't you wonder, wow, was it lucky we made it? You know, I mean, that would be that's like when you get in a car, right? And then as soon as you get to your destination, you hear a psst. You're like, oh my, that happened to me once. I got home and the next thing I do, I look outside and my car has got like a tire that's just going psh. It's like, man, I just made it, right?
Well, I know what happened to them.
What happened to them?
They lost the keys.
Ah, that was it. They didn't get a flat. They lost the keys. All right, here you go. So, of course, they want to tell us everything we need to know about the Starliner mission that went wrong and what may be next and the purpose of the mission. I'm not going to go through all of that with you, but you can look at the article yourself. And then, so what's wrong with the spacecraft? Because I think that's really what we need to know, right? I mean, why are they stuck? So it says they were initially scheduled they told us this, to be aboard the International Space Station for little more than a week. And then they made it to the orbital outpost a day after the launch. Engineers discovered a slew, oh look, I'm right, of helium leaks. They did have leaks. And problems with the craft's propulsion system that have hampered Starliner's return to Earth. So then they talk a little bit about who the astronauts are and how and when they will return. And that's an interesting point. Let's see. They are going to return. The Starliner spacecraft will return in September autonomously to Earth to free up a docking port for the delayed SpaceX Crew 9, which is scheduled to reach the space station September 24th for a 6-month rotation mission. The Dragon capsule that Crew 9 will take to orbit is also now Williams and Wilmore's ride home. So they're going to take a SpaceX vehicle home, right? For that reason, Crew 9 will include just 2 members instead of 4. The Starliner crew will then hitch a ride in February 25th, 2025, with the crew on the Dragon after the SpaceX astronauts complete their 6-month rotation at the station. So, SpaceX is going to get them home.
Isn't that?
That's just
Well-
kind of disturbing.
No, that just shows you what private enterprise can do.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's a shame for anybody, you know people who've worked for NASA, and that's a shame that that's kind of what it's become.
Well,
Pity.
I brought an article in case we ran out of things about,
Like we run out of things.
yeah.
We can do it in the next
Well,
hour
what
if
it
you'd like.
basically was affirmative action in the space program.
Oh. You think?
Well,
Was that applied to the actual aircraft? Was that the?
Well, well, I'll
Go
have
ahead.
to dig it out here now.
Yeah, I got to dig it out. We got a couple more minutes. We don't have a lot of time, but we got a couple more minutes. I don't know if I covered all our stories, but we got another hour coming up after this. So while he's looking for that, just remind you that we do cut off this feed and we open up a new one. So be sure to check for us on YouTube, Rumble, all the Facebook channels we're on, LaRue Press, Bookhound, and What's the Story, and also America Matters Media. And don't forget, we are on 93.7 FM in the evenings, 7 to 9, and we hope you'll listen if you have not had an opportunity to do that. And he's not finding his article. He left it on the printer.
Yeah, I did. I didn't bring it.
Isn't that funny? It happened to me all the time when I was going over to America Matters to do the show. But I'm fortunate now, my printer's right out the door there, so we'll have to have him start printing his stuff here instead of otherwise. So don't forget, look at my sign behind me, no on 3. Please, if you're in Nevada, no on 3. I generally post in my feed, I'll post the link to educating you a little bit about the initiative for Nevada on 3. And so check that out, though. All you have to do is say no on 3 Nevada, and you'll find all sorts of information. Some people think it's good. We think it's awful. I just think it's awful. And most Democrats, most Republicans also think it's awful. It's big money that wants 3, not us. Yeah. So please, no on 3. I often don't give my opinion, but that's one you will always hear my opinion.
To me, it's a little deeper than that. What they're asking to do is change the Constitution of Nevada.
Yep.
I'm opposed to that.
Yes, I am too. And this time around, it will change our Constitution because we have to vote twice, and it hit by a small margin in the last election. And now they're going after it again, so we gotta vote no, folks, okay? All right, we're gonna take our break, and then we'll come back with our second hour in just a few minutes. See you soon.